All right. So we've got about half an hour before we'll take a 30-minute lunch break. I was going to use this time for kind of review of what we were talking about earlier and some of the other topics we didn't get to earlier to kind of provide a more complete foundation for what we're up to here. And then after the lunch break, we're going to dive into collective superintelligence and exactly what that is as a key part of all this. But before that, any comments, any questions, anything to share? I haven't been up to date on all this stuff that's in the chat, but it looks pretty cool. All righty. Any questions or comments before I proceed?
Well, I'll just echo that. Yeah, that was a fantastic segment. Wow. It's almost like, yeah, everybody needs to go for tea or something. Just decompress.
Totally. Well, nothing wrong with that. I mean,
but I guess one of the other thing that it brought to mind is, wow, when you bring in a guest, and then especially with Dr. Molina saying he's now going to bring his friends in, it just ripples out that way. And so the concept of bringing in guests was really a good one. And of course, you've done that in the past lots of times, but again, it works.
Totally. And I want to encourage everyone to bring all the guests that you want onto the program, especially with the block party. We got 24 hours. So there's time for everyone and everything. All right. And then, so just really feel free to invite. And if you want to coordinate so that we can block off some time for a presentation or a specific discussion, I'll be delighted. So continue to bring it, everyone.
Yeah, now I guess on a technical side, I have invited in the past. I don't know what happened. It seemed like there was just a burst of these Zoom trolls hitting everybody at once. And on another channel, Skip Conover's channel, he had the same thing happen. But he now uses a sort of a two-step process. Seems to be working. And that is that people register through a registered process at Zoom. And then he's asked for a bit of a statement of sincerity from people to screen them somewhat. So it's just a bit of a challenge. You just can't, there seems to be more risk now of just putting out an open Zoom invitation without any screening. So I don't know if you've given that any thought.
Yeah. And we've actually implemented a solution that works for us, which is very simple, and you've all experienced it today, which is that when you click on the link, you don't immediately come into the video conference room. You're in a waiting room. Now, you may have been in there such a short period of time that you didn't notice. But I actually have to manually let people in from the waiting room. And so if I see someone on there who's obviously a troll, or even if it's someone I know who has violated the rules sufficiently that they're not welcome back, either for a period of time or until we've had a remediation of some kind, I'll just let them hang in the waiting room until they go away. Or maybe I'll just remove them. But no one gets into this room without either me or another designated co-host letting them in. So and it works great. That way no one has to register in advance. There's no password. There's none of that. There's just a waiting room. And in the worst case, you end up waiting a minute or so. Natalie writes that there is a trend of jumping into Zoom classrooms on YouTube. I do think some of them are not intending to come into our room in particular, yeah, that's true. I mean, there's just a bunch of people trolling around. But now I think waiting rooms are the key. They're simply the easiest way to get them to filter these folks out. But there are other ways, like you mentioned, Myles, registering in advance and whatnot. But for us, no password, no registration. Everyone's welcome, and we just have a waiting room, and that's it.
And could you explain to me what custom live streaming service is?
Yeah. So when you go to live streaming, there's basically three options: stream on YouTube, stream on Facebook, and custom live streaming. Custom live streaming, we stream through a custom live service that enables us to stream in multiple directions. So when we were first doing this, before we got kicked out of YouTube temporarily for the mentioning Dos Equis too much, we would use the custom live streaming to live stream simultaneously on YouTube and Facebook. But now, since we got booted out of YouTube, we just do it for live streaming on Twitch. I don't know that we're able to stream on Facebook again yet. But anyway, but that's the idea. And I can tell you more about that if you're interested. Mm-hmm. All righty. Whew. Boy. You know, this is such a journey with so many parts and so many facets that it's, you know, I'm often left with the sense of, woof, where do we go from here? You know, what's next, right? And I'm just doing the best I can. Nolan and I and everyone else who's contributing, we're all doing the best we can to, you know, schedule, you know, a sequence of topics for each of these major meetings that covers what we believe are the most urgent sort of next topics, the most important next topics in this whole journey that we're on. So anyway, I'm happy to jump into what we were planning to do with this chunk of time in the next 20 minutes before we break for lunch for 30 minutes. That is to review, you know, the big picture, and also discuss a bit like, what are our goals? What are we trying to achieve? And I would break those goals really into two chunks, and I just want to make this an open discussion, so feel free to jump in. But one of those goals is the goal of bringing humanity together and organizing ourselves as a collective superintelligence. And the second part of the goals conversation is, all right, once we have assembled humanity together, or enough of humanity to have a meaningful critical mass of collective superintelligence, what do we do with that collective superintelligence? And for me, that's kind of the more interesting of the two goals. The first goal of just coming together as a collective intelligence, for me, that's just obvious, right? And we were talking earlier this morning about, you know, how do we achieve that? What's the strategy for making that happen? And we
do you think maybe that you could say to people, we're offering a Radish 24-hour block party is offering you a chunk of time, you know, a 15-minute chunk or 30-minute chunk. You just have to make the request. And then you can come, whoever you are, whatever organization you're representing, you come on over to the block party and you just dance your dance for us and tell us who you are and what you're up to. What do you think of that idea?
Love it, Myles. Absolutely love it. I totally second that motion. yeah, if you have something to share, come and share it. Take 15 minutes and just share. What do you got?
So I guess you'd put the 24-hour block party out there as sort of uh, an advertising platform, and I don't know, maybe we take a page, or you take a page out of these marketing agencies, advertising agencies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, it's a platform for different individuals and groups to share what they're up to. And then, of course, the bigger picture for me, as this is a collective intelligence block party, and this is the 10th in a weekly ongoing series, is this is a place for us all to come together and talk about collective intelligence. Remember how I chunked it out into first goal is get humanity together as a collective intelligence, and then the second goal is what do we do with that collective intelligence? What specific goals beyond collective intelligence itself, which is not really a goal unto itself, it's more of a tool. But what do we do with this tool? And for me, that's the really interesting conversation. By default, what are we here to do with collective intelligence? Save life on Earth. We're losing, a couple hundred species a day. That's probably going to be accelerating very substantially, especially as planetary overheating kicks in, or accelerates rather, with the loss of global dimming. So saving life on Earth. And that has some very immediate things that we need to do that are not really deep philosophical questions or religious or spiritual or anything. It's just really simple. It's like if your house is on fire, what do? You put it out. You call the fire department and you put it out. Well, our planet's on fire, our planet's exponentially overheating, and there is no planetary fire department. So we need to build one. And that's one of the first things that, if I were in charge, maybe that's not the right way of looking at it, but if I were in charge, I would direct the collective superintelligence to cool the planet as the most urgent top priority, because none of us are going to survive on an overheating planet. And every other conversation we could possibly have will be instantly moot once we're all dead. I mean, it's just that simple. So among the big goals are cooling the planet, stopping the destruction of the biosphere, which means going vegan, stopping the killing of animals, factory farming, etc. And beyond those, and ending world hunger is another really big one that has massive implications beyond the obvious of nourishing people. I really think that'll bring us together in a whole new way, and we'll have a whole different experience of life once we live in a world where everyone gets to eat, not just the wealthy. So
what I'm thinking of is, what I'm hearing is, you're talking about all of your squares on your topic map, and thinking that if people can come in for their public service announcement, their whatever they want, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, or a whole 2-hour segment, they just come on in, and people like you have already here, people like Emery, who knows how to put together little wakelet videos and such. He could be involved in helping people put their little wakelet together, their little video clip, their little promo public service announcement. And that's how you would attract more bees to this honeypot. Sort of a service of value added platform, in addition to maintaining that, hey, this is still a block party. and it's socializing. But yeah, we definitely want to know who you are, what is your interest, what's your organization, and we do invite you to invite people to, stream off to whatever it is that you've got cooking at your organization. But we're just socializing, we're partying it up. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And in fact, we could even have maybe a 1 hour or 2 hour block of time dedicated to one after the other, people coming and making their pitch, their presentation, their introduction.
And you could have as a background, whenever that person is doing their PSA, you could have your background or some sort of a watermark about your topic map. So, okay, today, this person's PSA is related to, the news story for humanity with the person in the bed being attended to by the nurse. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to create here, get some, I guess, branding going for this block party, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. It for me, part of what is going on here is I feel like we are holding space for what will eventually be all of humanity coming together. And, I hate to say it this way, but in large part, it's like a waiting game. Here we are holding the space, showing up every weekend for 24 hours, saying, humanity, here we are, join us, right? Or join something, some collective intelligence community. And then that maps to kind of the bigger collective intelligence goal of growing the whole network of these collective intelligence communities. And, and then stitching this network together.
I remember when Periscope was the rage, and that was my first experience of the concept of live streaming. And right off the get-go, there are a lot of people producing online books, courses, and such on how to Periscope effectively. And so just, what you're talking about is your concepts of creating this community and getting people to use all these different platforms and come together at some point, focus so that it actually moves into a new story for humanity. So I don't know if you're gonna market that, brand it, you got your Radish branding. And it might be that you just say, okay, here's a tips and tricks, and put out like people were charging for these books and such. There's a rush of all these people publishing how to Periscope books. That's maybe what you've got to have inside you is maybe the media as of course not just print, but because Dr. Rao, he put together his books he's got his free books on karma and dharma and such, but he's realized that people aren't reading, but they do tune into video. You've been talking about flip grids and such. I don't know, maybe just get your 24-hour block party onto a bunch of flip grid videos, and I don't know how you just send those out to everybody. I guess every segment that you've got all this content from the past. This is what, number 11? What block party are we on here?
Number 10. This is
number 10. So you got 10 block parties, and there's like how many, as you've been saying, there's so much content there, and maybe just little flip grids. But I guess the other question for you is, as great as it is to have all this content, and maybe nice to have it in documentaries or not documentaries in storage vaults, It's like, nobody has really that much time to go back. I've watched some of the recordings, but there's such a proliferation of content now. It's like you have to, people have so much current content. I don't think anybody's got any time to go back into the storage vaults. Just my thought. Not sure what you think about that.
No one has time to go back into the storage vaults. And really, all we're doing mainly right now is just archiving for future use that's to be determined. And one of those future use cases is going to be really high quality transcription that will be able to just take any video, any YouTube video of any length, plug it into some web service, and poof, out will come really high quality transcription. We're still not there yet. I think, but anyway, that's going to be one of the major uses, because once these recordings are transcribed faithfully into text, folks will then be able to search through this body of transcripts, do very advanced searches to find out exactly who are talking about, which groups, which meetings are talking about exactly what they want to talk about, right? And this gets to like the big vision of collective superintelligence, which we'll be talking about in 35 minutes, and we'll get into all that. But that's thanks, sweetheart. But that's kind of the big idea of collective superintelligence is, getting all these different conversations and topics and people hyper connected, and transcripts would play a huge role in that. But until that time, nobody's going to go back and watch 24 hours of a block party that they missed, right? It's just so that's that's where we're at we're just basically archiving at this point. Yeah, some people go back and check out stuff, and please do, more power to them. But to give them more power, we need transcription and get that all incorporated. So, we had a great conversation earlier today. I think you might have been on it for part of that with Dot, where we're planning to, on Monday, we're going to have a meeting to work on getting connected with this Project Open Air. And just in general, we're in this period of reaching out and connecting with other groups, with other collective intelligence communities, and really pushing for a planetary federation of all these different collective intelligence groups, communities, conversations. Get them all up on one common calendar, right? If you want to do collective intelligence to save life on Earth, here's the place for it. I'm just about to pause, sweetheart, for a 30-minute break if you want to wait, but it's up to you. I'm just letting you know. You do what you need.
How long will you be, do you think? Just keep ballpark?
In 3 minutes, we're going to pause for 30 minutes. Yep. Okay. Okay, great. So, excuse me, everybody. And anyway, we will be jumping in deep into collective superintelligence in half an hour, right after the break. So is there anything to be said before we go on break for 30 minutes? Any other comments?
No, just thank you very much. And I'll pop back for a little bit of collective intelligence. And then I think I'll have to take a break and get on to my project. But we'll see you in 30.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. All right. All right, well, let's start the break. Streaming will continue. I'm going to stop recording, but streaming on Twitch will continue. And we'll see you all in 32 minutes. Great to see you all. We'll see you back in half an hour. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.